Good afternoon. My name is Sarah Almus, and I'm the Director of Legislative Services and Clerk for the Town of Collingwood. Before we begin the formal meeting of our municipal councils, I've received a list of the participants from my municipal clerk counterparts for the respective municipalities. I will read the names out, and I will then ask each clerk if the attendees noted are correct before we begin. For the Town of Collingwood, I will confirm that we have Mayor Hamlin, Deputy Mayor Fryer, Councillor Jeffrey, Councillor Doherty, Councillor Potts, Councillor Ring, Councillor Baines, and Councillor Houston has provided regrets. From the staff, we have our CAO, Sonia Skinner, Treasurer Monica Quinlan, Director Peggy Slamma, Public Works, Engineering, Environmental Services, Manager Michael Truman, Accountability, Procurement and Risk Management, Acting Manager of Environmental Services, Ken Caden, Manager Becky Dahl, Deputy Clerk, and representatives of ACOM, Brian Salhaney and Brett DeWinter. From the Town of Newtek, we have Mayor Norcross, Deputy Mayor McClellan, Councillor Biss, Councillor Cox, Councillor Foster, Councillor Gabeck, Councillor Harrison McIntyre, Councillor Jacks, Councillor Masters, Councillor Rapin, and from the staffing we have Clerk Pam Fettis, Deputy Clerk Pam, Acting CAO Lori Bedford, General Manager Bruce Hoppy, Director of Engineering Rick Valtry, Director of Public Works Chad Horan, and Director of Finance Allison Gallant. Clerk Fettis, is that correct?
Thank you, Clerk Almus. With one exception, Councillor Gabrick has expressed her regrets and will not be able to attend the meeting. Perfect.
Thank you. From the Town of Blue Mountains, we have Mayor Matrosov, Deputy Mayor Bourgeon, Councillor Ardell, Councillor Hope, Councillor Maxwell, Councillor McKinley, Councillor Porter, CAO Sean Everett, Adam Smith, Director of Planning Development Services, Allison Kershaw, Manager of Water and Wastewater Services, and Town Clerk Karina Giles. Is that correct, Clerk Giles?
With the exception, you missed Sean Carey, Director of Operations.
Sean Carey.
Sean Carey, Director of Operations.
Perfect.
Great, thank you.
And for the Town of Clearview, we have Mayor Measures, Deputy Mayor Van Saverin, Councillor Deneen, Councillor MacArthur, Councillor Broderick, Councillor Walker, Councillor Beelen, CAO John Ferguson, Clerk Sasha Helmke, Deputy Clerk Krista Pasco, Director of Public Works Dan Perot, Manager of Engineering Patty Kennedy, Director of Finance Kelly McDonald, and Director of Planning Amy Can. Is that correct, Clerk Helmke?
Thank you, Clerk Almus. That is correct.
The attendees and roll call is noted, and we do have quorum. I'll pass it over to Mayor Hamlin to start the meeting.
Yes, welcome to all council members and staff for participating here today. And of course, to those watching the joint meeting between the Town of New Tecumseh, Township of Clearview, Town of the Blue Mountains, and Town of Collingwood. This meeting has been called to discuss the water treatment plant expansion project located in Collingwood on the shores of southern Georgian Bay. As you are all aware, this critical infrastructure project tender has come in significantly over estimates and requires strategic and innovative approaches to funding, which may require additional partnerships, and why we are here today. Although with New Tech, we have made pleas to other orders of government for support, to date we remain unsuccessful, however, not without hope. We have been actively engaged with our fellow municipalities and the local development communities to investigate various available options. Before we begin the meeting, as a housekeeping matter, when a participant wishes to speak, please raise your hand and introduce yourself by stating your name, position, and the municipality you're representing. So we'll start with a land acknowledgement, and for this purpose, I will turn the proceedings over to Deputy Mayor Fryer.
For more than 15,000 years, the First Nations walked upon and cared for the lands we now call home. Anishinaabek, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwe, and many others who were families, friends, and communities the way we are today. The town of Collingwood acknowledges the Lake Simcoe Nottawasaga Treaty of 1818 and the relationship it establishes with the original inhabitants of Turtle Island. We acknowledge the reality of our shared history and the current contributions of Indigenous people within our community. We seek to continue empowering expressions of pride amongst all of the diverse stakeholders in this area. We seek to do better and to continue to recognize, learn, and grow in friendship and community, nation to nation.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is a motion to adopt the agenda. And what I'll do is I'll read out the motion, and then we'll ask each council in turn for their mayor to look to a mover and a seconder from their council, and then for a vote from their respective council. So we'll start with Collingwood. Could I have a mover and a so the motion is that the content of the agenda for the joint special council meeting of January 11, 2024 be adopted as presented. I have a mover in Councillor Ring and a seconder, Councillor Jeffrey. I'll call the vote. All those in favor, that would be unanimous. Thank you. I'll now turn the microphone over to Mayor Norcross from the town of New Tecumseh.
Thank you, Your Worship, very much. So I'm going to ask the deputy mayor if she would move it, and then ask for it to be seconded by Councillor Cox, if they're in agreement. Okay, I'm saying yes, and then all those in favor, I would look to the clerk to help with the confirmation, please. And it looks like it's unanimous as well. Thank you, Mayor Hamlin.
Thank you. I'll now ask Mayor Matrosov for the town of the Blue Mountain to also do this motion.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. So the motion is that the content of the agenda of the joint special meeting of January 11th be adopted as presented. May I ask for a mover? Mover from Councillor McKinley and seconder from Councillor Ardell. Thank you. Any discussion? Could everyone please show a favor, raise your hand? And yes, I confirm that all members have voted in favor. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm now calling upon Mayor Measures from the Township of Clearview.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hamlin. Members of council, the motion is that the contents of the agenda of the joint special council meeting of January 11th, 2024 be adopted as presented. I'll look to Councillor Walker and Councillor Deneen to be the mover and seconder. Members of council, any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? And that motion carries unanimous. Thank you.
I confirm that the agenda is now been adopted by all municipalities as presented. Next item on the agenda is for declarations of pecuniary interest. So I'm just going to ask everyone who is participating, is there anyone from the respective councils who has a conflict or declaration of pecuniary interest, and if so, to provide that interest at this time to us? I'm seeing none. If you find yourself in that position during the course of the meeting, please just raise your hand. So the meat of our public session today is this next item, which is going to be a project overview. This portion of the meeting contains important information and will set the background for the closed meeting discussions that these four councils will have following the public session. After each of the items under section 4, I'm going to pause just to see if there's any questions. If there's members with their hand raised and I can't see you, if your respective mayor could please bring this to my attention, because I know I might not be able to see everyone. And just a reminder, if the member wishes to speak, please provide your name, position, and municipality you're representing. So I'm now going to turn this over to our CAO, Sonia Skinner, to review each item.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. And I believe that there's a short deck that can be projected for people to see, please. Okay, well, this is a complex file. It affects us all and all the municipalities online. There's a potential for significant expenditure, potential growth and economic benefits or consequences. And although for this presentation, the senior staff from Collingwood and our consultant are presenting, our progress has happened with significant input from New Tecumseh. We've also had contributions from the town of the Blue Mountains and Clearview staff and councils in some cases, and from our own and others engineering consultants. I thank the CAOs who recommended that we have this joint meeting, and very big thank you to our clerks and others. This is a complex meeting and is another example of our regional cooperation and our willingness to try new things. So bear with us if we have any technology challenges. The clerks have done an amazing job figuring out how to have 4 councils meet at the same time in open session and in camera. I will note up front that there are some existing contracts that will be briefly reviewed, and we do have respect for those contracts. Some scenarios may involve multiple parties agreeing to adjustments, but that would be if it was on a win-win basis. Next slide, please. The agenda is set out, so I won't go over that in more detail. It's also provided in writing. Next slide, please. This is a simple example, a simple illustration of the capacity that we're talking about with this plant expansion. So the current meters cubed per day or megaliters per day are shown in the second column. So right now we have the town of the Blue Mountains with 1,250. We have the town of New Tecumseh drawing 9,500, and the town of Collingwood taking the remainder that is produced, and Clearview Township currently not receiving anything directly from Collingwood. So the current capacity of the plant is that 31,100 or so. Most importantly is the next column, and it's the current tender. We're calling it phase 1. So throughout this presentation, if you see phase 1, it's the one that brings us up to 59,000 cubic meters per day. And in this phase, we notionally have the town of the Blue Mountains with up to 4,000 and the town of New Tecumseh with 23,500. And you'll notice that that number has an asterisk on it. The items with asterisks are ones where there are contracts in place that include the capital purchase of capacity. So that's a contracted amount. The town of Collingwood has 31,500 or a bit more if the town of the Blue Mountains decides not to buy in for this phase 1. And there's nothing currently in the plan for Clearview Township. The 59,000 megaliters per day is a lot of water. When the province was contemplating the Greenbelt land swap, they were looking at enough water for 50,000 homes. So this is that many homes or more. It's significant within the province of Ontario. These numbers were agreed upon and proposed largely through the Town of Collingwood Master Servicing Plan, where individual municipalities asked for certain amounts of capacity to be set aside, either now in phase 1 or later in an ultimate build out. Next slide, please. This is an unusual plant, and it has flexibility in its capacity increases. This is, I believe, highly unusual. So once the phase 1 is complete, we can increase capacity on an incremental basis up to the 101 megaliters per day that is shown as our ultimate capacity. So this phase 1, as it's designed, includes the facility, tankage, building for that ultimate capacity. And investments over time would upgrade pumps, the disinfection process, the electrical, et cetera, so that we could produce more water to service our partners. But it's not that when the 59,000 is used up, that there's going to be another big construction project with, massive digging on the site in addition to the building. This is a good way to set us up for the long term. We have set aside some space that I expect will be discussed in the future to have some usable footprint so that things that are needed in the future, such as addressing emerging contaminants, can be done should the water quality change in the Great Lakes, which we hope it doesn't. Next slide, please. There are a number of contracts at play already. These contracts include for water production. We have contracts between New Tecumseth and Collingwood, and we have water contract between the Blue Mountains and Collingwood. And we understand that from a water supply and delivery in the New Tecumseth regional pipeline, there are contracts between New Tecumseth and the town of Clearview and New Tecumseth and the township of Essa to further pass on water from New Tecumseth to those municipalities. For those municipal councils or members of the public who are not as familiar with the water production contracts, so the ones with the town of Collingwood and our partner municipalities, the contracts include things like benefit to existing, and that means that they've bought in to the existing assets. So it may be that there's land value or the intake pipe or other existing assets. There's a capital capacity buy-in. They bought in upfront on the capital needed to build that portion of the plant. So that I like to call it perpetual capacity supply. They've bought in on the ground floor. We have shared operating and asset management costs with a third-party audits and rate studies so that we know among us all how much everything costs and that we're sharing those costs fairly. In the Collingwood and New Tech contract, we have a small administration fee. We have the ability to share excess capacity. And what that means is if someone happens to grow a bit faster than anticipated and they want to use someone else's capacity for a few years while it's unneeded by someone, we are able to do that. We have a joint water committee for operations that involves senior staff, and minutes go to council so that they're able to see what's happening and that the appropriate steps are being taken and provide appropriate understanding and oversight. But councils have retained the policy and strategy decisions related to contract changes or things of that nature, and our grants are shared. To date, at least from the Collingwood perspective, we've been happy with those contracts, particularly the newest one with New Tecumseth, because it has been refreshed based on our experiences over past years. Next slide, please. Chair, I have not paused after each section, as I promised you I would, in case there were questions along the way, and I thought maybe I should point that out.
Did anyone wish to ask a question at this point? I see no hands up.
Okay. After there was an innovative contracting approach used where three pre-qualified bidders participated with the town and our consultants for some time before the tender was finalized. And then ultimately, after the time of bidding, there were three compliant bids, one from each of our pre-qualified contractors, and we received those in September. The low bidder was Canadian Contracting with their price at $212,581,000. The award extension that we've received and at that price has been received until January 16th, and they will hold that price valid until that date, which is next Tuesday. Next slide, please. The expansion timeline is very important. This is a very long contract due to the complexity of the work. Phase 1 of this contract is when the water will flow, when the expanded capacity will flow, and we will be able to produce up to the 59,000 megaliters per day. And that is expected contractually if we award in January this month, in August 2029. However, work will continue in the existing plant to renew some of the existing assets, and the overall substantial completion is expected in mid-2031 while the water is flowing. Next slide, please. So I expect you've been hearing in the media and elsewhere that the total project costs are conservatively estimated to be in the range of $270 million. And you're wondering why we're saying that if the low bid is $212 million. That's because that's not the entirety of the costs, unfortunately. The work in the range of $270 million includes the engineering and construction that has been completed and is underway now, pre-ordered equipment of membranes and ultraviolet pieces that allowed us to take some of the risk out of the bid so that people knew what they were designing for and building to. The lowest compliant tender bid, our construction oversight, inspection, and records, and as well a contingency amount such that we won't run over. And next slide, please. This is a complex project. The chair will move the meeting into a closed meeting. This is to discuss items enabled by the Municipal Act, including tender options, contract provisions, and next steps. As soon as practical, and as decisions are made and contracts are awarded or confirmed, more of the information will move into the public realm, and that is very much our desire that happen. And the agenda today includes a Horizon report. While the chair may find otherwise, staff are not aware of a particular item today that will make use of that opportunity. However, it will pend council's discussions. One last thing that I neglected to mention earlier is that while the cost today is at $270 million, we are challenged as the last public cost prior to the bid opening was in early 2022 and was at $121 million. And municipalities who had intended to invest were carrying lower figures in their studies and planning prior to that. Thank you. Back to you, Chair.
Not seeing any questions yet, so I'm going to proceed to read the motion to move in camera. And as we did with our making a motion to adopt the agenda, I will read the motion to proceed in camera that other municipalities can rely on, and we'll just go in turn. So I'll read the motion. Whereas the clerk hereby concurs the reasons for the in-camera session have been duly reviewed and considered, and the matters are authorized under the exception provisions to conduct a closed session in accordance with the Municipal Act prior to proceeding into closed session. Therefore, be it resolved that this council proceeds in camera in order to address a matter pertaining to the security of the property of the town or local board, the receiving of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization. And finally, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiations carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality or a local board. So we have one item for discussion today. It's the Collingwood Water Treatment Plant expansion. I'm looking for a mover and a seconder for this motion. Councillor Baines, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Potts. I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. So I'll ask now each mayor. So I'll start with Mayor Norcross for the town of New Tecumseh.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Council, you've heard the motion read by Mayor Hamlin. I don't believe there's a need to repeat it. So I'm going to ask that it be moved by Councillor Biss and second by Councillor Harrison McIntyre. Would you move and second the motion? I see yes. Council, all those in favor, please. And ours is carried unanimous as well. Thank you.
Sorry, I turned my mic off. Mayor Mastrosoffs for the town of Blue Mountains. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. So the motion to proceed in camera, I'll look for a mover. Look for a mover. I see Councillor Porter and a seconder. Thank you, Councillor Hope. Any discussion? All those in favor, please show your hand. And it is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Measures from the Township of Clearview.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. Members of Clearview Council, you've heard the motion read by Mayor Hamlin. Is there any questions? I will look for a mover and seconder. Deputy Mayor Van Stavern and Councillor Broderick will be the mover and seconder. Any questions? Then I will call the motion. All those in favor? That motion carries. We'll return to you, Mayor Hamlin.
Well, thank you, everyone. That is our motion now to move in camera has been carried by all municipalities. We're going to recess for 10 minutes. There's some technical magic that has to happen for all of us to move in camera. So I will see you again in 10 minutes. Thank you. Okay, welcome back. We now have returned to public session, and I'm going to look for a mover and a seconder from the Collingwood Council to rise from in camera. Councillor Doherty, seconded by Councillor Perry. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Mayor Norcross, I'll ask you to ask your own council now for the rise from in camera.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would respectfully ask that it be moved by Councillor Masters and seconded by Councillor Gabrick. No, sorry, Councillor Jacks, please. Are you okay with that? Yeah, okay, all in favor from our council? And we're unanimous. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Mayor Mastersauce?
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. So motion to rise, we had Councillor Ardell who moved it and who has moved it, and Councillor McKinley who has seconded it. Any discussion? Yes. Okay, sorry, that was an early vote. Okay, no discussion, then please all show hands in favor, including the Deputy Mayor. Thank you, that is unanimous.
Thank you. Mayor Measures?
Very good. Clearview Township Council, the motion is to rise from in camera and return to public session. Can I have that moved by Councillor MacArthur and seconded by Councillor Beelan? Any questions? Members of council, all in favor? That carries unanimously from Clearview Township.
Okay, thank you to all municipalities. So prior to concluding, I would like to express my appreciation for all those participating today. I understand that each of your respective councils will be further discussing potential next steps over the next few days, and we look forward to the outcome of those discussions. As a reminder, Collingwood Council is meeting on Monday, January the 15th to discuss next steps as well. I'm now going to read in the confirmatory bylaw for the town of Collingwood, that bylaw number 2024-005, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the joint special meeting of council held January 11, 2024, be enacted and passed this 11th day of January, 2024. Mover, Councillor Potts, seconder, Deputy Mayor Fryer. All those in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. Mayor Norcross.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move ours as well, please. That bylaw number 2024-001, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the joint special council meeting held January 11, 2024, being enacted and passed this 11th day of January 2024. I'd ask the Deputy Mayor, would you move that, please? Thank you. And then I would look to Councillor Cox. Would you second that, please? Thank you. All those in favor? And it's passed by our council. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Mayor Mastersauce.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin. And for us, it is that Town of Blue Mountains bylaw number 2024-02, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the joint special meeting of council held January 11th, 2024, be enacted and passed this 11th day of January 2024. And I'll ask if the Deputy Mayor is going to move that. And he is indicating yes. And may I have a seconder from the room, please? Thank you, Councillor McKinley. And any discussion? All those in favor? And that motion is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Measures.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hamlin. I'll read the confirmatory bylaw for members of council, but I would like to briefly comment and say thank you very much to the clerks departments in all of our municipalities and our technical support staffs that keep us working. Well done today on this special meeting. Members of Clearview Council, the bylaw is bylaw number 24-007, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the joint special meeting of council held on January 11, 2024, be enacted and passed on the 11th day of January, 2024. I'd like to have that moved by the Deputy Mayor and seconded by Mr. Walker. Thank you very much. Any questions from council? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All in favor? And the bylaw carries unanimous. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mayor Hamlin.
Thank you. I'll just say thank you to everyone for participating in today's joint meeting. Again, very appreciated. I know that our New Text Council is anxious to get on to their next session, so I'm going to look for a motion to adjourn from Collingwood. That would be Councillor Jeffrey. Thank you, Councillor Jeffrey. All those in favor? We're unanimous on that front. Mayor Norcross.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I want to just echo the sentiments of Mayor Measures. Anyhow, that the meeting be adjourned at 6:25. I would ask that Councillor Harrison McIntyre, would you move that, please? Thank you. And Councillor Biss, would you second that, please? Thank you. All those in favor? Passed unanimous by our council. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Mastersoff.
Thank you, Mayor Hamlin, and always a pleasure with our regional colleagues from council to council. But yes, we can't do this without our clerks. So thank you. And so our motion to adjourn then, let me see, I've had everybody, so I'll just go to the top of the list then. Maybe I'll look to my right. Can I have a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Hope. I'll look to my left. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Porter. Any discussion? And all those in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, Mayor Measures.
Thank you very much, Mayor Hamlin. Members of council, the time is 6:27. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, moved by Councillor Deneen, seconded by Councillor Broderick. Any questions? Enjoy your evening. All those in favor? And we are now adjourned.
Have a great evening, everyone. Bye.